Welcome, friends and fiends, to the Critique Podcast. I'm your host, Kenny, and I'm here with Godden, and together, we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Godden, welcome back. We missed you last week.
Kenny, I'm getting better at the voices.
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
that was unfortunate. But you are getting better at the voices, though.
Oh, thanks.
It's so fun to
I'm having fun with
it.
it. Yeah, Godden, you were out last week. You had some guests over, and I'm glad you're back. Hopefully, Devin will make another appearance. I know he had a lot of fun recording an episode. And yeah, the more we can do to get more guests on, I'm down for it. So if you have any friends who want to come hang out with us and do an episode, yeah, get them on board and let's do it. But we got to have at least us two together all the time, Godden. That makes me happy.
I agree. Yes, I need to make sure I don't miss another episode, or else you'll have 4 more people replacing me.
Okay. Well, today we're here to talk about Season 2, Episode 11, Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. It aired on June 12th, 1990, and it comes to us from the comic Tales from the Crypt. So I always get excited when there's an actual Tales from the Crypt episode. Before we get started, if you are interested and you want to hear more of me or Godden, we can be found on some other platforms. Too Bad About Kenny with the number 2, as well as TOO Bad About Kenny. And that's through YouTube as well as Twitch. I stream video games. I also review movies and books. You can find me there. And Godden, how about you?
Well, firstly, they can find us on Twitter at Cryptikers. That's where they can find updates or just any kind of archives of our videos if they ever need to sift through that instead of YouTube or Spotify. But that should be another place where they can use its references. And for me specifically, you can find me streaming on Twitch occasionally. But this coming October, November, I do plan on streaming Silent Hill F. So that does sound like an interesting thing to stream, more horror-related genres. And that will be at twitch.com/UAPPO and then the number 6. That's what I have planned so far for my stream, is Silent Hill. Yeah,
that's a good idea to do streams like that are related to the season. I don't think I do that as much. I just stream whatever game I want to play.
Yeah.
Whatever game's on my mind at the moment, that's what I'm streaming. All right. Well, before we get into the episode, I do want to put a disclaimer out there. We are not professionals at this. We are very much so amateur. We just basically watch the episode and then we come on here just to kind of blab and go on about it. What do we like? What didn't we like? And hopefully we can get you in the mix on that at home. If you're watching this and you agree with us or disagree with us, don't hesitate to comment and let us know what your thoughts. So we want a place where we can come on to express our thoughts and to also build a community around this. So if you want to engage with us in that way, please do. And also just know that, whatever we say isn't the golden rule. We're just here expressing our opinions. Also, spoiler warning, while we express our opinions, we're going to be going into great detail on these episodes. So if you haven't watched it yet, I recommend doing that first and then come back and listen to us go on about it. So Godden, let's go on about it, shall we?
I'm excited.
Let's see here. Season 2, episode 11, according to the ancient texts here, inked in blood on human flesh. So, Judy, you're not yourself today. Nice bod. She'll take it. A quirky Mr. and Mrs. are quirkier after a saleswoman takes over the wife's body. That's an all right description. It's not awful. It is a little on the short side.
Yours.
It is a little on the short side.
Your description.
So let's go to another one that I have here. A young, beautiful housewife, Judy, is fooled into accepting a magical necklace from an old woman pretending to be selling cosmetics. The necklace allows the old woman to switch bodies with whoever is wearing it. After her youth and beauty are stolen, can Judy convince her husband of the truth before it's too late?
This is actually one of your stronger ones where it doesn't give away too much, because your previous synopsis
about me giving away too much. I do give the spoiler warning up front, although it is nice as a narrative to kind of go through the episode and kind of unfold it together.
This one's a little bit more, on the nose. Like, yep,
Yeah.
it's there, but it's not there. Yeah.
Starting off, just, general thoughts. I thought this was a really, really good premise. And it didn't take long for it to start to unfold and for you to start to see what was going on. And I was really, really on board. I enjoyed it. About halfway through, though, it did feel like it suddenly became another type of episode. So I was a little confused going into it, what to expect. And I guess that's kind of a good thing to kind of be, to not know where it's going. But I liked where it was going in the first place. And then I feel like it switched gears. So that bothered me a little bit. But we'll get more into specifics when we dive into the episode. Godden, what were your overall thoughts?
I really enjoyed this episode. This was a lot of fun. I'm not sure, because I feel like there's only like 1 or 2 episodes this season that I really enjoyed, and this is going to be another one. So I can't wait to go through it, honestly. Okay,
good. So starting off with the Crypt Keeper intro, he's this is a beauty related episode. So he's got his face mask on, like a beauty regimen. And he says, "Oh, hello there, Fright fans. I've just been sitting here waiting for my blood pack to harden. My cosmetologist said I started to look a little lifeless." And he peels the face mask off, which I thought was an amazing practical effect. It was actually a face, like a rubberized face mask put over his face that he tore off, and you can see it actually peeling off of his face. So that looked amazing. I thought they did a great job with just that one effect. Once he peels the face mask off, he says, "Much better, eh?" Which reminds me, tonight's poison parable is about a couple who take their appearance very seriously. Needless to say, they're going to end up trying to save face. I call this one, Judy, You're Not Yourself Today. And that brings us to the opening panel. It's an interesting one. It looks to me like, because there's like a circular frame around it, like everything that's happening is inside of a circle. So I got one of two vibes from this. Either like they're like in a crystal ball, right? Because it is kind of like the old lady really could be seen as a witch. That could be a crystal ball, or it also kind of looks like a peephole when you look through a peephole of a door. So I'm not quite sure the vibe they're going for here, but.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at first glance too, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, the first thing I saw was Don with his tiger pajamas and his, shotgun.
That's right.
That was the first thing I saw, right. But yeah.
Yeah, in the foreground, we have Judy. She's holding a green necklace, which is going to come in very, it's a big deal in this episode. And then behind her is Don, right, in his pajamas, holding that shotgun, which of course he, in this episode is an incredible gun enthusiast. And then behind that is, the green lit old woman's face. So really, it does hit some of the bigger themes of the episode. And then even in front of all of that is, a bunch of jewelry and, all kinds of stuff. So, oh, you know what? That could be the view from inside the safe. Remember how they put the necklace in the safe towards the end of the episode?
Yeah, but that was like more of a square.
It was a square,
wasn't it?
It was a square, but the fact that it's circular caught my attention more than realizing that it was from inside the safe. I think it is from inside the safe, but for some reason there's a circular, I don't know. Maybe we were reading too much into it. Sometimes the curtains are just blue,
I've never heard that. That's pretty good. Sometimes the curtains are just a different color. That's it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Sometimes the color of the curtains are just whatever was available, and it has nothing to do with artistic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's no direction. Yeah. You just needed it. That's it.
So scene 1, and the scene starts off with like a long, I think too long, montage of like different decor around this house. There's like paintings of hunting dogs, and right away I got like late 1800s vibes. I wasn't quite sure when this episode took place because of all the stuff and knickknacks that they were focusing on looked so old. Like I said, the paintings, they look to me like late 1800s. I'm not quite sure. And then there was all kinds of like little porcelain figurines, and they struck me as even older, like 1700s or something like that. I'm no art historian or anything, but it looked very old to me, and it looked like a timepiece, the way that they were really focusing on all of this decor.
I didn't have like that issue of like, oh, is this a timepiece? Until like they kind of were talking to each other. I was like, oh, is this like upscale Victorian or something like that? Because like it doesn't feel like they're in that era, but they're speaking as if they're really high class. So I was getting confused at the time. But for the decor and all that stuff, I just enjoyed looking at them. I actually didn't think too much. The curtains were just blue, Yeah. That's all it came to me.
I did notice the second time through, especially when they were focusing on the porcelain little figures, there was a clever little reverse zoom where in the background, it was focused on like an old lady figurine, but then it zoomed out and then it revealed in front of the old lady was a very young lady. So there was like 2 porcelain figurines that were kind of back to back. And the way they did the reverse zoom was pretty clever to see from old to young, because of course the theme of this episode is that old lady trying to steal the youth and beauty of, of her victims.
Yeah, I don't think I noticed that, but I should definitely give that a rewatch and see the whole old lady to young woman comparison on the porcelain. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I definitely didn't notice it the first time through. It's easily missed, but the second time through, I just, look at that. So we cut to the kitchen area, and Judy's eating breakfast in like a pristine kitchen, lots of china, very high end, very fancy. And then her husband, Donald, the woman, by the way, that's Judy. And then the husband, Donald, is like wandering around the house, just holding a shotgun and pointing it at things. He's like obsessed with guns in this episode.
I love it.
Yeah, right away, I definitely was thinking of you, Godden, because I know that you're also a bit of a gun enthusiast. So I knew that this was going to be a relatable character to you. He was also very relatable to me. I like this character a lot, Donald. He might have been the best character in the show.
I think so too. He really carried the episode. I mean, they all did their part, but I think he really carried it.
Oh yeah,
honestly.
This episode, the faults of this episode had nothing to do with the actors. Every character was, I think, very, very good. So yeah, and when they start talking back and forth, they are talking like very high class vernacular, like just the way they spoke. And then it's funny that there's a knock at the door, and then Donald is just like, "Oh, who's that now?" Like he just like immediately drops the whole act and just starts, So that's where I got the first idea that, oh, okay, this is actually modern day. But it took a while to get there. They made an effort to make it seem like it was old. So, I mentioned the knock at the door, and then they go to see who it is. And sure enough, it's like an anti-gun solicitor. And he's basically, telling them, oh, we're trying to get rid of guns and this and that. And then, of course, he just points the gun right at him because he's still holding the shotgun. Donald is.
It's crazy. He does that.
And Judy comes to the door and basically tells him, oh, put that thing away, relax. And they kind of get their little back and forth. And the guy at the door is like, that's dangerous. That thing, could have gone off. And then to prove his point, Donald says, oh, it's not even loaded. He points it right at Judy's head and pulls the trigger and it just goes click.
It's crazy.
Very, very
crazy to do.
Yeah. It doesn't even take a gun enthusiast to understand that is very, very inappropriate.
Yeah. But he's still my favorite character, though.
So that scene closes out with Judy getting, being upset about having a gun pointed at her. And she's looking at a mirror and she is basically inspecting all the wrinkles on her face. And she says, it's very stressful. Stress causes wrinkles. It's so stressful to have your husband point a gun at your head. So she's upset about that, but not the fact that how dangerous it was, at the fact that it causes her stress and would give her wrinkles. So she's very vain as well. And I also noticed that, in the background of all this going on, there's some very like fanciful, upbeat French music playing with like, the accordion style French music playing in the background. So maybe like Renaissance era is what they were going for with all the decor. I don't know. I'm no French historian either. Okay. I told you we're not professionals. Okay.
Yeah, we're not. As episode 1 through, it felt more like modern than, the 20s or earlier, it felt like it was like the 80s or 90s. Yeah, no,
it felt very modern outside of that kitchen area.
Outside their house, it felt modern.
It's very, very modern. So the next scene, Judy's alone, and I guess the husband is out at a gun club or something like that. And there's a knock at the door. And it's an old woman selling cosmetics. Judy lets her in, or at least it's an old woman saying she's selling cosmetics. So Judy lets her in, and while she's there, Judy admires one of the old woman's necklace because she's covered in jewelry, bracelets and necklaces and earrings and everything. So the old woman actually gives Judy one of her necklaces. And when Judy puts it on, there's like a large green jewel in the middle of it, and it lights up. And then on the old woman, hers lights up as well. She's wearing an identical necklace. And while Judy is like inspecting, the necklace in the mirror, the old woman says, you really are quite beautiful. And you have a great ass too. I'll like it even better when it's mine. And she throws her hands up and like green light fills the entire room. And then basically that's the end of the scene. Did you think anything about this old lady like up front?
She's very cunning because she pretty much like set her up to get in because like she's like, oh my, your wrinkles. Oh, how petty. Because she knows she's not selling her anymore and she tries to walk away. But she's like, oh, wait, but what if I do buy one of your products? She's like, oh, I suppose I'll show you. And then when she gave the necklace and she didn't have it, and then it snaps back to her, she has the exact same necklace. I'm like, what the hell? Like, where did that come from? You don't see her put it on, it just spawned on her chest. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Well, she was wearing a variety of necklaces. So she must have been wearing both of them at some point.
No, I could have sworn when she took it off, there was nothing else there. Okay. But then when it started glow onto, we never got her name, huh? Like the witch's name.
I don't remember the old woman's name. In my notes, I just referred to her as the old hag.
Yeah, I guess she never had a name. I guess Judy too, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever her name was, Judy.
See that happen, I'm like, oh wow, it was pretty quick because it was like right after her husband left, and then of course another knock, and she's like, ugh, who is it this time or again? Or she just had the same feeling as her husband, like, great, another salesman, So
yeah. Oh, it happened quick. Yeah, this all happened quick. So
yeah,
the episode doesn't take any time getting started. So the next scene after this, big, large green light flash happens in the living room, we're outside and Donald's coming back home and he's got his shotgun in the shotgun kind of bag, like a case, like a long case. But he's just playing with it. Like he's acting like a little 12-year-old kid, like pointing his shotgun over here, then over there, then like jumping up the steps and pointing his shotgun. Like he's just like so childish. He's so
good,
beside himself with joy to play with his gun. So he gets back inside and he finds the old lady and he's basically, where's my wife? And the old lady, Judy, now in the old lady's body. Oh, by the way, when that green light happened, they switched bodies. We don't know that yet, but when Donald discovers what's going on, it's kind of like when we discover what's going on. So Judy tells him, it's me, I'm your wife. And he asks her a bunch of questions about their honeymoon. And it's basically Big. Remember Big?
I only saw that scene when he's like dancing on the piano tiles. I actually don't know how that movie plays out. Yeah.
Well, he doesn't switch bodies with anybody, but he becomes older. And to convince his friend that it's really him, they kind of go through this whole song and dance thing to kind of prove. And this is kind of that scene where the wife has to kind of, prove to the husband that it's actually her. And she convinces him. And shortly after that, they get a phone call from Joe, which is one of Donald's friends. And Joe basically tells him, hey, your wife's over here. And she's acting really weird. She's drinking. She doesn't normally drink like this. She's smoking. She doesn't normally smoke. And she was like mean to me. Like she was yelling at me. And he says, Judy's not herself today. So that cues Donald into realizing, wait, maybe something's going on. So and this is where I think Donald really shines, because this is where he starts to enact his plan, which I think was a fantastic plan. And I didn't see it coming, but it was pretty good. He lures his wife to the closet, shoves her in the closet, and shuts the door and locks her in there. So as an old lady, she's locked in the closet. Then he leaves and he goes to the train station, which is where Joe told him Judy was headed. He goes to the train station and he finds his quote unquote wife, which is actually the old lady now. And he basically tells her, he pleads with her, oh, Judy, please don't leave. Don't run away just because you're cancer. Like he basically convinces the old lady that Judy had advanced stages of cancer and is going to die soon. Right.
That was really smart.
Oh yeah, I thought it was really clever. It was really clever.
It's so good. That's why I like him. He's just like, for once, like a smart character where you're like, oh, he's doing the things that people would, expect him to kind of do naturally, and he is just doing that. That was really smart because because the old lady decides to swap back at that point, right? She's like, green light.
Yeah, and it worked. It worked because right away she throws her arms up, the green light fills the train station, and then she switches her body back. And when this happened, immediately my gears start turning and I'm thinking, okay, did she really switch back or is she kind of playing him? So I had that in the back of my mind. But then in the next scene, when they come back home, the real Judy, which is now an old hag, is locked in the closet. Or not the real Judy. The old hag who used to be Judy, who's locked in the closet, is like banging on the closet door, demanding to be let out as the old lady. So I realized, okay, that switch was real because whoever's locked in the closet wouldn't have known what had happened and wouldn't know to, you know what I mean? Like that's supposed to be Judy, but now she's anyway. by the time it came back, I knew that the switch really had happened. So that kind of like, it changed. This is where it started to kind of change directions and where I thought the episode was going to be going. And this is also a very, very funny scene. Instead of opening the door to let the old hag out, he just starts like blind firing through the door at the old lady.
I don't think he even hit I think he might have hit the door once, and the rest were everywhere else in the house. He was shooting porcelain figures, dishes, everything. Like, he shot everything up. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, for being such a gun enthusiast, he didn't seem to have good. He didn't have good gun etiquette. He didn't have good gun skills. He just liked playing with guns, is what it was.
I don't blame him, but yeah, it was so funny to see that. I was like, I did not expect something that silly. But it is kind of real. Like, someone would basically kind of go through that. Like, they start blind firing, and his reaction was the best after doing the whole.
Oh my god! Do you want to walk us through that reaction, Godden?
Oh, I love that reaction so much. Yeah,
I knew you would.
Yeah, after he pretty much unloaded the whole entire magazine, he just keeps on clicking, like out of like anxiety or something, and then the rush comes in, the adrenaline, and the whole entire like just the high ecstasy, and he's like, "Wow, that felt amazing!" And then he starts walking. Telling Judy about the whole thing, like I just started shooting, and then click. It just felt so good. Felt he felt so alive. Like, I got her. She's dead. Like, oh my god. I don't know what it is, but like, it's like you said earlier. He's like a 12-year-old, like playing with a gun. So him like getting that rush of just like having a high intense situation, just letting off rounds, even though it's like super unsafe what he's doing. He didn't care. He's like, yeah, that was so worth it. I could do it again and again and again.
It was probably his first time ever using a gun for its intent. For like, in this case, home protection, right. And you know what I mean? Like,
I think you're right. Yeah,
just completely beside himself with joy. He was like, "What a rush!" He was so crazy about it.
He was really crazy about it. I don't blame him.
But yeah, that actually, Judy likes it. Judy likes his excitement about this, and then she basically says. She basically says, "Oh, yeah, wow, you're so," and then they get all hot and heavy right there in front of that dead old woman.
Yeah, that was kind of funny that they did that there. I was saying, like, yeah, Judy is just like that, because like in the first scene, she's like, "Oh, it's so hot when you're angry," because it was like after he like shot her with the shotgun in the front porch, and then she's talking about like, "Oh, that gives me stress or whatever," and he starts like complaining as well. About I want something silly or something small before I went to the gun club. And he's like, "Oh, it's so hot when you're angry." He's like,
she definitely she loves his raw side, right?
Passion. His raw emotions.
His temperamental, emotional side. She's definitely very much into that part of him. So they bury her. They bury the old woman, the old hag, in the basement, and they lock the necklace in that safe. And Judy is basically almost pleading, like, "Do we really have to leave it in here?" He says, "Yeah, we can't, it won't be destroyed. We tried melting it. We tried destroying it. We have to leave it here." And she says, "Can't we leave it somewhere else?" And he's like, "Where? Under your pillow?" Like, she still really wants that necklace, even though it caused her all of this, drama. I think just appearing wealthy, I think, is what is really important to her as well.
The looks of being wealthy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the next scene after this, we jump 3 months later.
Yeah.
And it's one particular night. Judy can't sleep. She wakes up and she goes to the safe, and she opens up the safe and stares at the necklace. And then we cut over to Donald, who's also lying in bed, and he wakes up. Basically, they start talking. We got to do something about that old woman in the basement. I think she's giving us nightmares. And he says, basically, we should dig her up and bury her somewhere else. So he goes downstairs to find the old lady had dug herself out of the basement and is basically wandering around the house. And at the same time he discovers her, Judy comes downstairs. And so now he has the old hag and Judy. And this is where I thought the episode was going in the first place. So we finally come back to this moment right here, which is they're both claiming to be Judy.
Oh, yeah.
And Donald doesn't know who's who. And they're going back and forth. "It's me. I'm your wife. No, I'm your wife." And, one of them's an old undead hag. And one of them is the young, beautiful Judy. And I thought it was interesting that when Judy, the young Judy, came downstairs, she was all dressed. Because this is like the middle of the night, by the way. But she comes down and she's all dressed up. She's like, has like a full dress on with like a little day hat, like she's planning on leaving and going somewhere. So I thought, okay, well then that must be the old lady who's maybe planning on leaving. Mm-hmm. So they go back and forth about, who's who. And Donald grabs keys from, the hook and throws them. He says, Judy, pull the Jaguar out front. And it's the young Judy who grabs the keys and starts to run off. And he says, Judy, honey, we don't have a Jag. At that point, they start to wrestle. She tries to grab the gun away from him, and the gun goes off, and it shoots the young Judy, who is the hag, by the way. The young Judy is the hag. And as she's dying in his arms, she switches bodies back and then disappears. So the old hag gets her body back and then disappears. And then I got to tell you, this last scene really stuck with me, Godden. He's there with his wife dying in his arms. And when she finally dies, he starts to cry. And he takes her arms and wraps them around himself so she can hug him. And he basically sits there sobbing with her in his arms. And I thought this was a really emotionally effective scene. I was sad. I felt really, really bad for him with his dying wife there. And he's doing everything he can to get one last moment of affection from his wife, putting her arms around him the way he did. That really hit me.
There was a moment when she was passing away where he was like, I'm Bond, James Bond. And I thought it was so random that he was like impersonating James Bond as his wife was dying. But it just like, it seemed out of nowhere for me, at least, when he mentioned that he was Bond, James Bond.
That's right. He did say that. Like, And I think that lent itself to him being delusional in that moment, like as a way to cope. So even that weird comment stuck with me. I just thought it was a really, really drab, sad ending. Very emotional.
It was a sad ending.
And that brings us back to the Crypt Keeper, who is, he's got his gun. And he says, I still think diamonds are a girl's best friend. You'll be glad to know that witch gave up door-to-door sales and joined the Peace Corps. Poor Donald. You can't really blame him. He was only trying to give his marriage a shot in the arm, and then he shoots the gun up in the air, and the leg, and he shoots again, and the head, and he keeps shooting. And I like when he's shooting up, like things are like falling down that he's shooting, like a rat falls down dead on the table in front of him. And he says, sometimes I crack myself up. Until next time, kiddies, pleasant screams. And then he actually takes the gun and shoots himself in the head. Oh my gosh, what a macabre ending. I thought that this episode switched gears in kind of a weird way. When he convinced the old lady at the train station to switch bodies back, I thought that would have been a really good time to maybe fake out the switch and then have the rest of the episode be like, okay, like a who's who kind of thing. But it was so cut and dry and matter of fact that the switch did happen. That was his wife, Judy, and the old hag was locked in the closet. Like, it was so cut and dry. Then he buried her in the basement, and I thought, okay, where are we going from here? This is kind of weird. And then she opened up the safe and got the necklace out, and then we had that switch. And then we got the moment I was waiting for, which is the who's who part of it, which only lasted like a minute or so. And then this is my gripes with the episode. I got confused because the old hag was dead, but then suddenly she got brought back to life, right? And then Judy got shot, and then the switch happened again, but Judy died. So I guess I'm confused about the powers of the necklace. How come it can sometimes bring things back, but not other times? That kind of confused me. And then also that payoff of the who's who part of the episode was so short when I thought that was going to be the majority of the episode. So I guess I was just more confused throughout the episode. I don't know. What did you think? You tell me.
Well, when you mentioned like, oh, did she swap back, or for that whole like 3 months, like was it the witch or was it actually Judy who's in Judy's body? That made me think too. But when I first watched it, the way I interpreted it as, well, like after the witch is dead and Judy's back in her old body, maybe she has other means to like protect herself if she was like buried alive or quote unquote dead. So I think when she was buried, it only was a matter of time if another person or Judy were to wear the necklace, and then maybe the witch had a way to like signal like, oh, someone has a necklace, maybe I can swap bodies now. I think that's when the body swap did happen, because I think Judy was just being Judy. Like, she just really wanted the necklace, and she shouldn't have. And that's when the swap happened. Because I feel like you would have to see that green glow for the swap to happen. And I think the only time we didn't see it was when Dawn goes downstairs and she's probably like changing and doing whatever before that. And that probably when the glow happened, because the time when he got downstairs, you know, Judy, the real Judy's actually like in that body walking around.
Yeah.
So I think that's when the timing happened. But yeah, I think it was very consistent, like who's on which body. I don't think they were trying to like mess with you that heavily, because it was just a simple, you know, like necklace spell thing. They don't want to make it too convoluted, because even they don't want to explain everything, I feel like. So, but yeah, like that's how I thought of it initially. But yeah, when you brought up like, oh, could they have swapped at one point with the 3 months? Like, yeah, that made me think a little bit. But I feel like it was the hag that was fully dead in the basement until Judy put the necklace 3 months later. And then she did the swap. And then we got to see that whole fight scene. And then she swapped one more time as the body was dying. But yeah, we don't know what happens to her after, right? She just kind of leaves.
Yeah, she just disappeared
or something.
Yeah,
So she wins.
It was a good episode. I still liked it, but there was a few parts about it that I thought were a little convoluted, or it didn't quite go the way I was expecting it to, and then there's a couple curveballs in there that I didn't really appreciate. I know you're a big gun fan, and I definitely appreciate having a gun fan in the episode as well. Although by the end, it seemed almost pointless. Like it was a character quirk that didn't really serve the plot. I mean, he had guns in the house and he used his guns, but he didn't need to be like a huge gun enthusiast in order for it to.
It could be anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So that to me seemed like a little a setup without much of a payoff. It just seemed almost like a first draft of an episode. It seemed like maybe it needed one more or maybe two more little touch ups to kind of tie up some loose ends.
For me, the payout was the other guns he had that he was showcasing, because the first one was a shotgun. And then after he meets the old lady, before he locks Judy in the closet, he grabs his coat, which also had a 9mm that he racks after. Like I like that he had guns like scattered around the house that only he knew where. That part is like I love that. Like that's part of the only gunhead like thing I appreciate from him. Because the rest is like pretty bad, like the gun etiquette, like there's nothing there. But him hiding guns around the place that only he would know, I think is really smart. Like it's fun to only know where you put your stuff. So that him getting his 9mm from his like coat jacket from the closet, and then when that final scene, he's like looking for his gun. He's like rustling everywhere. He's like breaking things. I'm like, oh my god, where is he hiding this gun? And then at one point, I thought he was assembling a piece together. I'm like, oh, that'd be so funny if he just had like parts lying and he's assembling it like an action movie. So I was like kind of hoping for that.
That'd be funny.
But it's just a revolver.
You know what would be nice is what if the old hag was unkillable and they had a scene where he shot her with a pistol and then she got back up. So then he like grabbed his 9mm and then she got back up and then he grabbed a shotgun and then a rifle. Right? Can you imagine?
He just goes through everything. Oh, that'd be too comedic. I don't think they could do that, but that is so funny. I could see them performing it, but I don't think they would have aired that. It's just not too horror enough. Horror.
Yeah, that would have been fun. Yeah, I thought really this episode was similar to like other body swapping movies and episodes like Freaky Friday. I mentioned Big. There's also like The Hot Chick where they switch bodies.
Yeah.
So there's definitely other movies out there where they do body switches, and in all the episodes they always have a scene somewhere where the character who switches bodies has to convince the other people like, oh, it's actually me. And they always, like look at our secret handshake or look at our, all this knowledge that I have. So I thought that was interesting. True, that this episode's twist on that. And other Tales from the Crypt episodes, there's the switch, right? Mm-hmm. Remember the switch where they, what's that old man's name? Switches body parts with the younger, buff, meathead.
Yeah, I forget the names, but it's like $1 million a piece and Adventures 3 million for the lower half. Yeah.
And then also, oh gosh, what is the one where the pawn shop person takes her beauty in the mask? What was that one called? Only Skin Deep or something like that.
Yeah, Only Sin Deep.
Only Sin Deep. Okay. Yeah, there's that one, right? It's not necessarily a body swap, but counts. It is a young, beautiful woman who becomes an aged, frail old character. So there's that as well. So this, even Tales from the Crypt has touched on this theme a little bit. And then there's the idea of an old character stealing the youth and beauty of a younger character, like a vampire kind of story, kind of a thing going on. So there's that aspect to it too. And of course, one of my favorites from season 1, Dig That Cat, He's Real Gone, stealing the 9 lives of a cat for immortality. Basically, this woman is stealing the lives of these younger women. And she must have been around for a very long time, right? Stealing youth and beauty from all of her victims.
I wonder how she's going to, because clearly she got away. So I wonder if she ever gets to, keep doing what she's doing, or if she did end up joining the Peace Corps,
You're going to take the Crypt Keeper's word for it.
I mean, I feel like it's canon at that point. Whatever he says, okay, yeah.
Right. Yeah. All those little asides he has is definitely, we can consider those canon. He is telling the story after all.
He would never lie. He just makes jokes, but he wouldn't lie.
So let's move into ratings then. I'm going to give this a 3.75 Avon Ladies.
Avon Ladies. I like that. Now that you mentioned your kind of gripes with it, I could totally see myself not giving it a 4, but just like shy of it. So I think I'll give it a 3.9.
Okay.
3.9. I think I'll give it just 3.9 necklaces,
Okay.
I think that's just
3.9 beautiful green necklaces. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this episode, the premise is worthy of a 4, a 4 plus, right? The premise. But just the execution, I feel like, was a little clunky. It was kind of it did feel like 2 or maybe even 3 separate ideas kind of all being pasted together. So it didn't flow very well, even though all of the pieces were good.
Yeah. I guess at one point I thought Dawn was going to be the bad guy. I thought he was going to be a twist in some way.
Oh, yeah.
Because he has a gun. Yeah. So I guess he's just a red herring. Because I really thought, he's the killer.
Oh, yeah, that would have been interesting too. Yeah, to have him somehow be part of the twist. All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move into correspondence. We heard from our good friend E-Chair. We haven't heard from him in a few episodes, but he actually reached out and he left a comment regarding the episode For Crying Out Loud. Remember how the opening scene of For Crying Out Loud was him being brought to the electric chair?
Oh, yeah. Because it's his inner thoughts. Yeah.
So the opening scene was, of course, him being brought to the electric chair. And of course, E-Chair says in the opening scene, I kind of wish they had collaborated with Niles. And I agree with you, E-Chair. I think Niles would have been a great reoccurring character in this show. And with how many times capital punishment, in particular, the electric chair shows up or is talked about in this episode, it would have been great to have a reoccurring, arbiter of death being Niles. That would have been fantastic.
Yeah. Or something subtle where they just have a TV in the background talk about him being executed, former executioner now being executed, blah blah. It's the same timeline, but he never has to be there. He's just mentioned.
Yeah, even if just mentioned. Yeah. Okay. And before we go, I do want to just mention some shout outs. Of course, there's still Creeps of the Crypt and the Crypt Keepers podcast. Those are both podcasts that talk about Tales from the Crypt. If you're interested, check down below. I've got links to their sites. There's also Teacherama. Good friend of mine, John, his girlfriend is a co-host on Teacherama, which is a Futurama podcast. If you're interested, link down below. And I'm still listening to Haddonfield Radio, a podcast dedicated to watching some of the big horror movie franchises and actually offering commentaries. If you're interested, link down below. Godden, is there any YouTube channels that you wanted to plug in here that I can leave a link to below?
Slasher Lore. I'm pretty sure if you search on YouTube, it should be the first one. And it goes over each decade when horror movies, especially slashers, were introduced. And it starts in the 60s, and then now the 2000s is the timeline.
Okay.
And it was pretty interesting to learn about.
Yeah, you can send me a link up to that, and I'll put it in the link in the in the description.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Great.
I'll do that.
Fantastic. You guys, next week we're going to be here, same time, same place, to talk about season 2, episode 12, Fitting Punishment. If you're interested in following along with us, go ahead and watch that episode before next week, and then join us next week and watch us go on about it. And feel free to leave any comments that you feel need to be said in the comments, and we'll make sure to read those, respond to those, and also I'm more than happy to talk about them right here on the podcast. With that, that's it. That's all I have to say. We'll see you next week. Until then, have yourself a good whatever you're going to have. Goodbye.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?
Nailed it.
And there's nothing wrong with having a kind of a choppy outro. It's okay,
Yeah.